happened this last election, the left lost, and in that loss, they've been having many moments of reflection. Now, one of these leftists has come back and decided, you know what was wrong? We just weren't mean enough. And now this Regina George liberal is going on the news to talk about her new campaign, and that campaign is being as mean as possible to as many Republicans and Trump supporters as she possibly can. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, today we're going to be talking about mean girls because apparently we have a new mean girl on the scene. Her name is Suzanne Lambert. She's referring to herself as a Regina George liberal, and she was recently featured on CBS News. That's how I found out about her. I guess she's had a few TikToks go viral where she's really stapled to herself this mean girl label, and now she's running with it. So we're going to watch her news clip and see what we find.
Rachel McAdams would want all of us to know that Regina George is a cultural touchstone who needs no explanation, but for the few who might, explain. And when you say Regina George liberal, what do you mean? Or Democrat?
So, yeah, I love Mean Girls, of course. And Regina George, she has a lot of flaws. She's not a perfect character. Right. We're all flawed, right? But one thing that Regina is really good at, she's good at organizing. She's good at garnering attention. She hits back. She sticks up for herself. And that's something that we haven't seen historically from Democrats, from other liberals. And after the election, all the messaging was around how we're going to get through this with love and peace and kindness. And sure, those things are true, but I was like, I can't do another 4 years of this.
I'm sorry. Did any of you guys experience 4 years of liberal love and peace and kindness? That is not the typical characterization that I would give to left-leaning people or leftists at large. In fact, I would often usher it into the Regina George territory, if not, you know, immediately upon some reflection. These people are not the most tolerant, loving, peaceful individuals you've ever met. So I'm not sure this is really all that unique when it comes to a niche. Maybe she's the first one to really coin the term Regina George liberal and utilize it in the way that she has. But this energy from the left is most certainly not new, in my opinion, and I say that as a former leftist myself.
Especially given everything they're doing.
You're a little low on the peace and joy part, right?
I mean, yeah, and I think too that, you know, there is a lot of love in fiercely advocating for people and policies.
This is like those mostly peaceful protests. You know? We are mostly loving and peaceful on the left.
And that's what it's all about.
Thinking about the campaign, do you think the emphasis that Kamala Harris put on joy was a mistake?
I don't know that it was a mistake, but I think that there were so many moments where we really could have fought back more or taken a step back and been like, look at these people. Look at what they're doing, right? From
your vantage point, does ferocity need to be met with ferocity?
I would say so. I mean, people will be like, you shouldn't fight fire with fire. I'm like, well, I'm not a firefighter. You don't want me fighting fires. I put aluminum foil in the microwave, like, fairly recently, right? I'm not in charge of fire response.
That didn't work out well, I'm gathering.
No, it didn't. Funny thing about that. But I would also say you don't fight fire with a little drippy water hose. You fight fire with equal exertion of force, and I think that we need to do that.
And you've talked in your videos about comments like, oh, don't be so harsh, don't be so piercing, don't be so judgmental. And your reply is, in general?
In general, I mean, men do it all the time, right? Look at Steve Colbert, look at Jon Stewart. They've been doing this, right? Humor has been a cornerstone of politics for the entirety of our history, but typically you see it coming from men. And you don't see people in Jon Stewart's comments telling him to be nice. Right. You're so mean. They might say other things.
It's so interesting that this is the argument here. The reason you don't see a lot of that in Jon Stewart's comments or Stephen Colbert's comments is because they're literally shouting into an echo chamber, which is essentially what this woman is doing as well with her TikTok channel in attacking people and attacking their appearance, which we're going to get to some of her videos in just a moment here and analyze and see what they're worth on an intellectual level, see what they're worth from a political standpoint. Sure, it's interesting, I guess, to meet ferocity with ferocity, but at the end of the day, you are just creating an echo chamber for yourself and you're not accomplishing all that much. And I don't like that this is sort of packaged as a new form of battle for leftists or liberal people, and this is a way to win and move forward and take ground and organize and get your voice out there, because she is just hiding the fact that she wants to be a mean individual and has found a clear-cut way to do that and be applauded for it. And we should just be honest that that is the motivation behind this. I think she refers to herself as a reformed mean girl in some of the TikToks TikToks that we're gonna bring up and watch, and you should ask yourself, why did you feel the need to reform in the first place? And why do you feel the need to dredge up all this negative energy once again in your life? How does it serve you? How does it serve the people who are listening to you? And how does it serve your cause, most importantly? Because I grant that it doesn't do much for the things that you're trying to achieve, but it does allow you to be who you truly want to be, which is Regina George. And I have to say what I say every time we react to a liberal, Democrat, leftist talking about their tactics for fighting the Republican right or the MAGA right. This is why you guys lost the election. It is this energy, it is this wokeness, it is this intolerance, this anger, this fury that you spew out into the world that makes people reject your ideology and reject your side. And while you're spending all this energy, I don't know, making fun of the makeup of people on the right or people who support Donald Trump, there are people on the right doing actual work, organizing, talking to people about their values, talking to people about being America first, and ushering people in that direction. So I hope this is working for you in getting people to your side, but I have a feeling that's not actually your goal. We'll finish out this news clip and then react to some of her TikToks.
Guys get a free pass.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, yeah, they don't tell them to be nice. So when it's a woman doing it, people are like, whoa, 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 this is really mean. And I'm like, yeah, that's the point. I'm glad you're getting it.
What's the future for you?
As far as my approach and what I want to do,
and this advocacy and this visibility, because I'm sure it's changed your life.
Oh, absolutely.
In unexpected ways.
Some
pleasant.
Advocacy, please.
Imagine some not so pleasant.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm like, keep the comments coming, whether they're nice or not. It helps my engagement, helps my metrics. So thank you to all of those people. But I want people to feel more comfortable fighting back. And I also want people to see other people fighting for them. I have so many people who are like, thank you for actually sticking up for me, for sticking up for my trans son, for helping, you know, for talking about my immigrant dad, right? And I also have had people tell me, I finally feel brave enough to speak out against certain things because I don't know we've always been given the room to do that.
I mean, it couldn't be more fitting. I think Regina George is a perfectly fitting name for this individual.
I've had so many people reach out to me about what a wonderful impact I've had on their lives and how I've influenced them to really speak out. You know, each TikTok that I make about somebody's orange makeup or the way they've done their eyebrows really is a form of advocacy for trans kids and immigrants.
But let me stop. Let's take a look at this young woman's advocacy on TikTok.
Yeah, I noticed that all of the Republican girlies in my comments do their makeup the exact same gorgeous way, so I thought that I would try to do it myself. Starting with the base, I'm not going to do any prep at all. We really want our makeup to cling to any dry spots and accentuate any texture that we might have. Starting with foundation. Now I have cool undertones in my skin, meaning reddish pinkish undertones, so we want to choose a makeup that doesn't match the undertones of our skin, so I'm going in with my warmest foundation. Rather than using a brush, we're actually just going to apply directly to the skin and use our hands. That way it's streaky and it doesn't blend well. I also applied extra tanner to my hands so that it doesn't actually match anything. You'll notice that it's also really matte. I wanted a really matte finish. It's giving drained, it's giving dusty. We want to make sure that it doesn't look like we've ever used moisturizer once in our life. This is looking pretty good. I'm gonna leave it unblended here and here just to make it look more authentic. Next, we want to pick a concealer that's about 3 or 4 shades lighter than whatever we just used for our base. So I'm going in with my lightest concealer. Make sure you really get it under the crease so that it settles into the fine lines. That's important. We don't want to pat our makeup, we want to rub our makeup so that instead of actually blending it out and making it look smooth, we're just kind of smearing it to other parts of our skin.
Okay, I don't think we need to watch much more of that for you guys to get the point. She's doing a satirical play on a makeup tutorial for MAGA girlies. What I find really interesting about this is that in this form of, if we're gonna call this, I don't know, comedy or commentary or advocacy, which is the biggest stretch of the three, when you're doing this, you are bound to describe people who actually support your ideology, who happen to do their makeup in this way, or happen to look like the final result of whatever it is that you're trying to bring about in this video. So what do you do to those that you've offended or called out or made fun of or called ugly that actually support you in your liberalism? And that's one of the reasons why I think this is a very failed form of comedy when going after somebody who doesn't support your political views. Another thing is that this is inherently sort of anti-liberal, anti-leftist. You are relegating people to the way that they look. You're relegating them to their consumption of certain makeup products and whether or not those makeup products are high value or low value, dependent on how their appearance looks on the other end, which I would think is not a pillar of leftist thoughts. I thought many on your side were preaching that we shouldn't care what people look like, that we shouldn't be upholding certain beauty standards, and that we most definitely should not be calling people ugly or making fun of them based on their appearance. But here we are. I guess if you have a certain ideology, it eliminates you from that protection. Now, she's not just going after your everyday MAGA supporters, she's also going after people who are close to Donald Trump. She has an ongoing thing with Nancy Mace that's on her page that you could check out. And she also is going after Caroline Leavitt, who is the press secretary for the Trump administration. Let's see that.
Everyone's asking me to do Caroline Leavitt's makeup from yesterday, but the problem is I just don't have the right products, because when I'm gleefully taking away school lunches from kids and defunding childhood cancer research, I try not to look so jaundiced, me personally. So I don't know if I have products in the right shade, but I can comment on some of her other stylistic choices. I don't think I need to point out the irony in like stripping healthcare away from seniors and our society's most vulnerable while wearing what appears to be the original crucifix. Like, did she have to take out an insurance policy on that in order to be able to wear it? Where is Jesus hanging out? No pun intended. If she's wearing that thing. I've seen Flava Flav wear less gaudy chains than whatever that is. The zigzag part in her hair is also certainly a choice. I actually had the same one in my 5th grade school photo, you know, before my prefrontal cortex was done developing. I don't even know what to say about the eye makeup. Honestly, the mascara, the eyebrows, it's like she just told the makeup artist to do the bold glamour filter in real life, but the strip lashes from Sally's Beauty Supply in the middle of the day were a choice. Finally, maybe next time, don't use the Grinch as your lip flip inspo. At least go for Martha May Whovier. That would be a massive step up.
I don't know about this content. It has over 100,000 likes. It just really doesn't do anything for me. It just exudes bad energy. And I can't imagine that somebody who's making this sort of content on a day-to-day basis doesn't also exude that bad energy themselves. I think a big part of the formula that a lot of people forget is that when you are a mean girl or this Regina George figure, you carry that on you. And that sort of anger and hatred weighs these people down. They may act like it doesn't, but it very much does. And oftentimes when they're attacking people for their makeup or how they look or different procedures they've had done, that is their deepest insecurity themselves. And they sit in an endless cycle of thinking about their own appearance, thinking about how they're coming off to other people, thinking about how attractive they are, and they're just projecting their very deep-seated insecurities onto other people. And I can imagine that that's probably what's happening here. Let's watch a few more TikTok videos.
I just want to get this out there since we're all speaking our truth the last few days on TikTok. So on all of my Republican makeup videos, people will comment being like, wow, it's really messed up to make fun of people for their looks. And a lot of well-meaning angels who are friends and followers of mine will comment being like, she's not making fun of their look, she's making fun of their makeup. To be so abundantly clear, I would and do make fun of their looks as well. You want me to give a about your feelings when you like don't want my friends to exist or live in this country? No, I'll absolutely make fun of your looks. I just haven't done that on here because I didn't want to get banned. But since Cucky Zucky said he doesn't really care if we bully people or whatever and talk about how they're weird or freaks, I will be doing a lot more of that on Instagram. So follow me there. But I did just want to get that truth out because I will and do and always have made fun of their looks as well.
Again, I'll ask her to contend with the question, what if you have a perfectly fine liberal leftist who agrees with everything that you think but also happens to look like Caroline Leavitt? I just don't know what you do in that case. And it does speak to somebody's first principles. You know, if you are truly a tolerant, loving person, that should extend to just about everybody, even with people you disagree with, because to be tolerant and loving sort of transcends political squabbles and disagreements in ideology. And you can actually get a whole lot more work done by being being kind, by being peaceful, than you can in being a Regina George. But hopefully she catches on to that somewhere down the line. It seems as though leftist ideology only applies to those who agree with them, which means you don't really have a strong foundation for a lot of the beliefs that you have. When I advocate for something like free speech, I'm advocating for that free speech for everybody, even people who want to be mean Regina Georges. If you're advocating for tolerance or not judging people on the basis of their looks or allowing for an inclusive, pluralistic society, you should do that for everybody, not just the people who agree with you. And I don't think that lesson has been learned yet. She hasn't learned the lesson, and a lot of her followers have not learned the lesson. This next video has over 650,000 likes on it.
Everyone's getting on here now being like, oh, liberals need to be meaner, Democrats need to be meaner. Say less, babe. Do you know how many reformed mean girls have been waiting for this exact moment in time? I'm an ex-SEC sorority girl, okay? I have 3 brothers and an Irish Catholic mother. I know mean. Not all of us were meant to be Miss Rachel liberals, okay? Not all of us were meant to be Michelle Obama, Jack Schlossberg liberals. Some of us were meant to be Regina George liberals, Lucille Bluth, Principal Ava Coleman liberals. The gift that Regina George liberals bring to the table is our ability to be so quick with our insults, so scathingly precise, so accurate. They don't even know that it's happened until it's over. They just sit there with their burnt orange nails, hand over their mouth like, oh my God, what just happened? But if we're really gonna do this, I need y'all to really let us do it, okay? Because when I made that video about that one I'm not a feminist girl, and I did mention her chunky highlights, some of y'all were like, oh my God, no, we need to support women, don't be like that. Y'all did it your way, and we're doing it our way. Okay.
Okay, let's pause there. I have to let you guys know. This sort of energy, this sort of attitude, this sort of persona can only come from a deeply insecure person. In order for somebody to be scanning every single individual to judge things that they don't like or they don't view as being aesthetically pleasing, they have to have done the same to a very deep extent to themselves, and she's probably continuously doing this to herself every single day. I'm sure this girl's mind is punishing her, and it's thrashing out and throwing words at other people who she disagrees with, and that's something that she's going to have to deal with in her personal life, probably for the rest of her life, if she maintains this energy. She gives this sort of scathing, mean, bullying energy to people because she knows it's what works within her own mind, and maybe she's doing it to herself internally. You have to find an insecure one for it to be the right one with this sort of energy.
I know, right? It's so embarrassing.
And you'll notice in this last video that she said that her and other mean girls were just waiting for the moment to unleash this sort of energy on society, and now they've been given the excuse through politics to do that. Trust, that was a Freudian slip, and she's saying exactly what the playbook is. She has always been a mean girl. I'm sure these thoughts are cycling through her head on any given day, at any given moment, and she's just been waiting to be given the green light to unleash it on everybody around her. And she's found that green light in politics because guess what? The left is not as loving, intolerant, and peaceful as they claim to be. We've gone through decades of this sort of energy from the left, and she is just now the cherry on top that is adding more. This is not unique. This is not a niche. This is not clever. This is the same playbook that's been played leading up to the 2024 election that they lost. And now she's taken the green light that she's gotten to unleash her inner mean girl and giving it to her followers and telling these same disaffected liberal women to go off and be Regina Georges of themselves, which, okay, guess what, guys? Nobody has to give you the green lights to be mean and nasty. It is in fact the easiest thing you can do in life. This is not a strategy. This is not advocacy. This is not political gameplay. This is easy. This is why when young kids are born into the world and they snatch another kid's toy or call another kid fat or say they don't like their hair, we try to train kids out of it because it's an easy sort of knee-jerk reaction to the emotions that we experience in life. And somebody who hasn't done a lot of work in emotional regulation and still finds themselves in that very childlike mindset of being a Regina George is going to become exactly this as an adult. And I guess with my closing sentiments, I wish this girl the best of luck with this strategy. I think it will function as a flash in the pan moment where you do get a lot of people who are hyping you up and liking your videos. And these are also people with poor emotional regulation who want to express that anger and are doing so through your TikTok videos. So I guess that's cool that you're giving them an outlet. But I gotta say, this demographic of what I believe to be college educated, single white woman, maybe she has a boyfriend, I don't know, is the sole demographic that I think more so than any other voted for Kamala Harris, as they were left in the dust by virtually every other racial and gender-based demographic this last election. And there's a reason for that. It is this energy that people can feel. It is the ideology that is packaged with that energy. And while everybody else moved in the right direction, you guys moved further to the left. So it seems as though you guys are going to double down into that sentiment, start being mean to those who have disagreed with you instead of listening to them. And I will wait and see where that gets you. And I guess if we want to look into the future, we can just check out the movie that you're stealing your persona from in Regina George. Y'all remember what happens at the end of that film? Regina tries to play the victim, much like every single leftist woman does. And she writes, "This girl is the nastiest skank bitch I have ever met. Do not trust her. She is a fugly slut," in reference to her own self, and she gets caught out on it. So I guess keep doing what you're doing. All right, guys. Those are my thoughts on the Regina George liberals that I guess are now going to be popping up as if they already didn't exist. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with anything I said in this video, do get out, but do so respectfully. We encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.